Alright, ladies and gentlemen, ladles and jelly spoons. It's that time again. It is that time again. It's actually New Year's Eve at the moment. Bit of a subdued one this year for obvious reasons. I've just been sorting through Necron stuff. It's got some more warriors done. These ones are slightly less crusty looking, because I actually sprayed them properly this time. Slightly different basing method to usual. Not sure how I feel about it. But hey, I did the old sand and PVA glue method of yesteryear as opposed to using a texture paint this time. On reflection, it was too much, bother to be worth it, frankly. So I don't think I'll do that again. But anyway, I have just finished priming these. Here we go. We got some scarabs, which will give me a third unit of 4. We've got Lich Guard. With the sword and board loadout. I've never really gotten a close look at these guys until now, and they're really cool models, actually. I really like the Lich Guard. They look badass, especially with the sword and board. They're really cool. I like them. There's the new scarabs. Again, I think I might slightly prefer the old scarabs. They're just kind of iconic, the old ones. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. Anyway, there's new scarabs. And new Overlord as well, which I've modified slightly. I raised his right arm here so that it looks like he's about to fire his tachyon arrow at some incredibly unfortunate person. I moved his other arm with the big stabby implement. I don't know what Necron melee weapons are supposed to be called. It's a war scythe, void scythe, don't bloody know. Regardless, though. Sorry, this is wobbling around a lot. It's quite difficult to keep still. But I moved that up a bit. And on his back, I had some spare old metal wraith bits. Let me turn this around here, so you can have a better look at it. There we go. Had some old metal wraith bits spare, so I stuck those on his back. Because his silhouette just didn't look quite right after I'd repositioned the arms. He needed something else back there. And so I stuck these on. My thinking is, well, I mostly just did it because it seemed like a good idea at the time. But after the fact, I've thought about it. And my thinking is it's kind of like a Pavis shield type thing. Like, it's a big slab of metal on his back that he can use to take cover. Like, he got a tank shooting at him. He can quickly turn around and face this armoured plate towards the enemy. Something like that. Like Pavis crossbowmen from the Middle Ages, where they'd sort of had a big shield on their backs, and when they went to reload their crossbows, they'd turn around so the shield and their back was facing the enemy. That's kind of my vague thought behind that, really. That's sort of what I was thinking. So, yeah, there you go. There might be a relic I can give him in the Necron Codex somewhere, which can potentially be represented by this. I don't know. I'd have to have a little look. I've had some thoughts, actually, about rules for once, instead of just the models and painting and narrative. I'm definitely going to go custom Tomb World with this lot, I think. Definitely going to be custom Tomb World. I'm still having trouble deciding on what traits I want, though, because you get to pick 2. One of them I know that I want is the one that gives you a 6-up invulnerable save to everything in the army, which is really nice. Because that'll be a bit like Sisters of Battle or most of the Adeptus Mechanicus stuff. I just like that, to represent the fact that they're the Necrons that have made of this weird living metal, and so very occasionally a Titan could fire its cannon at a bunch of Necron warriors and one of them might still be standing at the end of it. Very low chance, but it could happen. So I really like that. The second trait, though, I really can't decide on. None of them really jump out at me as being really awesome. There was one I kind of liked, which was like Planetary Invaders or Unstoppable Conquerors or something like that, where you get to make a bonus move at the start of the game in the command phase or something, which was really, really cool. I kind of like the idea of that. But then I thought about it and realised that actually in some narrative campaign scenarios and stuff like that, that could be really awkward. Like being able to have a free move at the beginning could really mess up the scenario. So I decided I'm not going to go for that one. I'm going to go for a trait that's actually more applicable in any possible scenario I could put them in, really. So, yeah. That trait, it's a good one, but it's clearly one that's very much designed for matched play people. That one, it doesn't really take into account you might be playing something weird in narrative. Anyway, never mind. Yeah. So, I don't know if I showed you these guys. Here, this is my pariahs. The pariahs are done. I might have shown you these in the previous video. I genuinely don't remember. In case I didn't, there they are. The pariahs have arrived. I'll be using them as Lich Guard with big scythes. And they're awesome. These old guys they're metal. Old guys from 3rd edition with green rods. Away for green rods. Yeah, I like pariahs. Pariahs were very cool. I really wish they'd bring them back, like as a unit and in the narrative. In my head canon, which is of course best canon, pariahs are still totally a thing and they absolutely exist. But technically speaking, in the rules they don't, which is why I use them as Lich Guard. But there you go. They're specifically going to be the Lich Guard for my old 3rd edition Necron Lord. So they specifically are his guys. I should tell you about this guy actually, because I've had some thoughts about him. So this guy, he's my Necron Lord from the olden times, right? And so I'm thinking in the new canon for this Necron army, this is the guy that woke up first. Out of the whole Tomb World, this guy woke up first, and he woke up early. And he woke up slightly damaged as well, like his mental circuits are a bit screwed. And so he never talks. He never speaks. He is exactly as he was back in the day when I used him in 3rd edition. He is a silent overlord of the army that never speaks, never says anything, just silently marches around and kills people and does his thing. And that's he's still like that, essentially. He's still like that. These pariahs, they are his. He created them. And all the other Necron nobles in the army, these guys at the front here, and I suppose this guy, yet to be painted, they woke up later to find this guy had awakened some of the legions and had been busy conquering and killing the squishy, fleshy vermin mortals about the place. And they all kind of collectively decided, well, something's up with this fella. And they couldn't even tell who he was. They couldn't remember who the guy was because A, their memories were a bit screwed up from the Great Sleep, and B, this guy wasn't about to tell them who he was because he doesn't speak at all. So no one can remember who he was, and he's just known among the Necron nobility of this dynasty as the Nameless One. So the Nameless One, he goes around with his pariahs, and they all find him a bit creepy and weird, and they try to keep him at arm's length, really, because some of the nobles suspect that perhaps whatever madness it is he's got might be catching, it might be contagious, so they tend to kind of keep him at arm's length a bit, but he is a very capable and loyal commander. He's not... They discovered that he doesn't have the destroyer virus. You know, he's not always constantly trying to kill all organic things. He's he doesn't have that going on. It's something else that's wrong with him. And so he's a very useful kind of member of the dynasty. He's a very useful sort of lieutenant for the Pharaons. But at the same time, he does creep them out a bit. So there he is, him with his pariahs. And they wonder what the heck these strange-looking Lich Guard are that he carries around with him, but they know better than to ask any questions. So there you go. I'm trying to keep the canon of my original Necrons from back in the day intact alongside the new guys, and I don't know how good a job of it I'm doing, but hey, there you go. That's the headcanon. Anyway, I got these guys to paint. I got some Ophidian destroyers still to paint, the snaky boys. I got some of the old school Locust destroyers on their way to me at the moment. I'll show you them off in a bit when I've actually arrived. They've arrived and I've built them and I've painted them. And got to do the monolith. Got to do the monolith, and I've got to do the big tripod walker things, the War of the Worlds things, the Doomstalkers, and I have one Doomstalker, I think, and 2 reanimators. I actually have a 3rd reanimator on a sprue somewhere. And I think I'm going to try and kit bash that into a Tomb Spider, because apparently Hellstorm Wargaming's done a tutorial for how to do that. So I'm going to look that up in a bit and see if I can build myself a Tomb Spider, which would be pretty cool. That's it really. That's all the Necron related news for now. The Marines are still over there. I fixed Brutus. I have fixed Brutus. His chainsword is no longer floppy. Hooray. Although I'm thinking of changing his model. I'm actually thinking of changing his model. I did some kit bashing converting of this, Gravis Captain from Dark Imperium, and I'm still, even today, not totally happy with it. So what I'm thinking of doing at some point, not guaranteed, but at some point if I feel like it. Oh no, I've just noticed its Iron Halo is a bit wonky as well. God. Anyway, what I'm thinking of doing is, you know, the Imperial Fist's Tor Garridan character. I was thinking of taking that model as a base, kit bashing it a little bit, and then popping the head off this miniature and putting it on the Tor Garridan one. And we'll just say that Brutus got a little bit of a equipment upgrade, a slightly more refined suit of Gravis armor, etc. Because just this one, it's fun, but it just doesn't. There's something about the pose that just doesn't really do it for me. And no matter how much green stuff and chopping I used when making this, I couldn't really get it to a point where I was really happy with it. He's just got this, I don't like the strange beer belly he's got going on. It just, yeah, I don't know. That's pretty far down the list of stuff to do, but it's on the list. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Speaking of army rules, I need to think of some for the Revenants over there, and I think I've settled on, for their custom chapter tactics, they're going to be Stalwart and Stoic, because that's very Imperial Fist without actually using the Imperial Fist rules. And I think those are, Stalwart is the one where they can never be wounded on anything better than a 3+. So 1s and 2s always fail to wound them, because that helps reflect the fact that they're stubborn Imperial Fist's successors and also their slightly unique, weird genetics. So that works. And the other one is Stoic, which basically just gives them all +1 leadership, which isn't tremendously exciting as rules go, but I think it's very, very appropriate for Sons of Rogel Dawn, which they are. Very stoic, and +1 leadership. Since they changed the way that And They Shall Know No Fear works in 9th edition for Space Marines, I think that's actually not bad. I think that's maybe a slightly underrated trait. So, and it's also super duper easy to remember, which is the main thing, honestly. A lot of the other rules are potentially better, but also a pain in the bum to remember during a game. So I think Stalwart and Stoic are the ones I'm going to go with for the Revenants. +1 leadership, and 1s and 2s always fail to wound them. Works for me. Right, got some other stuff to show you, but it's not in here right now. I'll get back to you with it later. Right, I said I'd get back to you with the other stuff that I'd done. That was a lie. Small interlude. Playing a bit more Solo Hammer. Yes, indeed. As you could see, it is to, well, in keeping with the theme of the new edition of 40k, it's Necrons versus Space Marines. So there you go. I'm finally playing the Necrons. In the first game I played with these guys since bloody 4th or 5th edition, I can't remember which. Probably 4th. I think it was definitely 4th, right. Yeah, so far the Necrons are definitely wrecking face. It's not looking great for the Marines. At the moment, you've got 4 intercessors up on this bunker here, and a small gaggle of Marines here, and that's it. It's a 500 point, well, 600 point really, because I decided to go 30 power level for a game, and yeah, the Necrons have been absolutely wrecking it. They're a bit pokey, these Necrons, in 9th edition. Good grief. They're not bad. I'm enjoying playing them. It reminds me a lot of 4th edition. They are difficult to kill. Although, as you can see by all these ones lying down here, the Marines actually did a pretty decent number on this squad of warriors this turn. In part thanks, actually, as well, to the fact that they dropped an orbital bombardment on it with the new 9th edition orbital bombardment Space Marines get, which was pretty cool. The Necrons could have moved out of the way of it in their turn to get away from it, but I thought, do we really care? Necron warriors are expendable. The nameless one over there probably doesn't give a crap if they die. So he sent them forward to grab this middle objective instead, and they just took the brunt of... They lost 3 warriors to the orbital strike, and then they've lost the rest of these to being shot at repeatedly by bolt guns. So, but there's still some of them left, as you can see. The Marines might be able to swing it back in their direction a bit if they can take out these warriors. It's interesting, but I don't know. Problem is, they've killed a lot of warriors in the squad, right? Great. Unfortunately, though, as you can see, the nameless one there with his pariahs is waiting in the wings, and his relic is the Orb of Eternity, I think it's called. It's basically a resurrection orb that's better than a normal one. And so what you can do in his command phase, if there's any of these guys still standing, is you can toddle on over, smash the resurrection orb on the ground, and potentially all these guys could get right back up again. So that'll be interesting. Basically, the Marines really wanted to kill off that entire squad in one turn, and they haven't quite managed it, because they're not going to be making any charges into close combat on account of these 2 barricades here outside this building, which are obstacles in the new terrain rules, which means each of them causes you to have -2 inches movement going across them. So trying to actually get a charge across there with some of these characters perhaps would be incredibly hard to do, actually. So I'm still getting used to the fact that, obstacles in 9th edition actually have serious rules now. I'm so used to just plopping them down everywhere as window dressing in 8th edition, where they didn't really do much other than give you a cover save occasionally, but now they're actual obstacles. So I perhaps need to think a bit more intelligently in terms of where I put them down when I'm building the table, eh? Well, anyway, that's how things are going. More solo hammer. I'm having quite a bit of fun with it, really, actually. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a good way of learning the game. Like, some people are like, well, how do you play 40k against yourself? Surely you know all the moves you're going to make in advance. And my answer to that is, well, it's not like chess. It is a dice game, ultimately. It uses these little things here, which ensure that nothing ever goes according to plan, which helps make it interesting. And also, 40k, unlike chess, is it's a game about stories and narrative and lore and stuff, and so you can kind of role play it more than you can chess. Can you role play chess? I bet someone's tried it, but but realistically though, yeah, you can role play 40k in a way that you can't with chess, which I also tend to try and do when I'm playing regular games, but especially so when I'm playing Solo Hammer. I try to do what the commanders would do on either side, as opposed to what's the most optimum thing to do. Unfortunately, at the moment, for the Marines, the most optimum thing to do is also what the commander of the Necrons would do. So, yeah, they're having a bad day, looks like, unfortunately. But hey, you never know. It's not over till it's over, The Necrons are in the lead on points for now, but that could change. I might come back later at the end of this game if something interesting happened. But equally, I might change my mind, as I often do, and I'll see you at the hobby desk next or something. Who freaking knows? But anyway, yeah, playing some of this, and it's quite fun. And people have been asking, are you going to do some Solo Hammer battle reports like, say, High Paul has done? And the answer is possibly. Yeah, possibly. In fact, I'd actually quite like to. I think it could be quite fun, because I could do whole campaigns and stuff with the various armies I've got on the channel now. I've got enough armies now to make something like that work, potentially. But the trouble at the minute is I'm still really new at 9th edition, and really new that some of the armies in 9th edition, like the Necrons and the Sisters of Battle, so I'm trying to just play as many games as I can off camera at the minute, mostly to practice and learn, because at the moment, right now, at this very moment here, I don't feel confident filming a game of 9th edition without me getting most of it wrong. So, or it taking absolutely ages because I constantly have to stop and check things in books. So I probably will do some Solo Hammer battle reports, but I don't know when, basically, is the answer to that. Don't know when. I don't know when I'll be able to do some normal battle reports either, really. I have one game filmed in the bag in the very brief window we were able to do it a few months ago with Dan, which is the next part of the Reuvengrad campaign. However, I'm hesitant to edit that and release it until I know that we can film the 4th episode of it, which at the moment is a bit sort of like, oh, no idea. So, because I suspect this whole COVID problem is not going to go away anytime soon. I know we've got vaccines and stuff out there, but I think we're still going to be dealing with lockdowns and stuff and various restrictions for quite a while into this coming year now, I suspect. So, yeah, no idea when that's going to return to normal. We'll see, I guess. Yeah. Oh, and Happy New Year on that note, actually. I am playing this on New Year's Day while the dinner's cooking downstairs. So, yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you're having a good one. Right, I'll be back later with something. Hello, all. I don't remember what I said at the end of the last clip I was going to do next, but this probably wasn't it. I'm tidying up the back room a little bit at the minute. And part of that process is getting all the big toys out of the corner, in the sort of very vague pile they were in, and actually moving them into a cupboard somewhere where they're not going to get damaged. But that has necessitated getting them out of the corner and onto the table so I can then move them through into another room. But I figured since they're out on the table, all the big boys, I might as well show you them, because here they are, including a somewhat broken Blitzer Bomber, I think it was. Blitzer Bomber and all Burner Bomber. Words are difficult, okay? Anyway, this is not a Boom Dacker Snazwagon. Right. Anyway, there's the Stomper. You've seen that before. Demons. The Khitan, which still hasn't been in a battle report yet, but it's there. The Knights of House Monroe, one of which has been looted by orcs. There's a narrative there I should really tug on the thread of, really, isn't it? I suppose. Yeah, you'd think House Monroe would have something to say about the orcs nicking one of their knights and looting it. Yeah. There's a narrative campaign idea. Anyway, yes, Knights of House Monroe, including Lady Mercy at the back there. She's a bit dusty at the moment. She's not been used much lately. I've no idea what she'd be like in 9th edition, actually. Maybe she's actually like playable now without losing all of your friends in the process. Who knows? But yeah, and she's the Knight Castellan in the back there. King Fergus of House Monroe. Big old Forge World Mechanicus Knight something? He's a Cerastus something. I don't remember his name. I don't know what it's called. But it's a big Cerastus Knight something or other. Currently standing on a blue dreadnought. And yeah, he's got the weird grav cannon-y thing, and he's got this sort of weird gun here, which is like a gun and a sword at the same time. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I like Fergus. It wasn't built by me. Almost all my Forge World models are built by someone else because I'm allergic to the super glue that's required to make them. So I usually end up buying them built by someone else and then painting them, which is what I did with Fergus here. Which is the reason he kind of always looks a little bit like he's about to fall over backwards slightly. That wasn't me. That was whoever built it before I got my hands on it. That's their fault. But anyway, he's still cool. He's still cool. Still one of my favourite models. Never gets used. Big, lots of expensive points, really nasty, not very friendly. So it doesn't get used very often. Same with all of them, really. That's his loyal housecarl lady something or other. I've forgotten her name. It's written down somewhere. I'd have to check. I haven't used these knights in ages. But that's a Cerastus Knight Castigator. I remember that much. With the glowy sword and the miniguns. Not that many, really. But, you know, big Gatling guns. Again, very rarely used, unfortunately. And that's Tybalt. The Executioner. The Blind Executioner. Hence his heraldry. The Blind Executioner who can see only with the aid of the machine spirit when he's in his knight. He's a very small, very crooked blind man when he's outside of his knight. But when he's in it, he's an absolute killing machine. So there you go. I do like my knights. They're fun. It's just... Well, they're fun from a narrative perspective, and from a building and painting perspective, they've been fun. But they're not actually been that much fun to play on the tabletop, because they just kind of wreck everything. Which isn't... You want a close game, really. Not a stomp. At least that's how I play, anyway. There's Ancient Hephaestus, my... Oh, God. Custodes Telemon Dreadnought, who you'll remember from the Morgan's Reach campaign. Also, doesn't see much use. Very dusty. But he's cool. I pretty much bought him for a single game I did with Winters. And he got blown up in the first turn with Winters. So, that was fun. But still, he got to make up for it in Morgan's Reach campaign, in which he was quite awesome. So, yay! Don't use the Custodes like ever these days, really. It's by design too, really, because I feel like Custodes should be exceptionally rare on the tabletop, on account of there being only 10,000 of them in the whole galaxy, and half of them are probably still on Terra guarding the Emperor, so, you know, I use them almost never. I have some, and by have some I mean I have about 20 models, including this guy, because, you know, about 20 models of Custodians is 2,000 points, so you don't really need more than that, but, you know, very rarely use them for that reason. Anyway. Cool. Oh, the Necrons won that game. I did play it through to turn 5. The Space Marines made a decent comeback towards the end, actually, but the Dice Gods really hated them in this game. The Captain, Lieutenant, and Company Champion charged forth and chopped up a whole bunch of Necron warriors, and they shot a bunch of Necron warriors as well, and then just as I predicted, sneaky nameless one came out and used his resurrection orb, and 9 flipping warriors got back up again, and it was all over really from that point onwards. So yeah, poor Space Marines. Didn't think I'd be saying that, but poor Space Marines. They didn't stand a bloody chance. I was practically clearing them away with a dustpan and brush. Yeah, interesting. I'm thinking maybe the next one I do, I might pit the Necrons against the Sisters of Battle, because they've both been very successful so far. That could be an interesting matchup. Poor Marines. Poor Marines. Admittedly, I did pick some rubbish traits for them. I've decided, I think it was the trait Stoic I picked for them, gives them +1 leadership. I did discover there's another one called Indomitable, which is basically similar theme, but just better. I believe like Stoic gives you +1 leadership, so they'd be, you know, +1 leadership across the board, which is like okay, I guess. But Indomitable has practically the same fluff text for it, and what it does instead is it means they only ever lose 1 guy to morale tests. Much better. So I think they're going to go with Indomitable going forwards instead of Stoic, so it'll be Indomitable and Stalwart. Stalwart didn't really come up much either, to be fair, because it didn't get shot at with a lot of Strength 8 stuff in that game. It was mostly Strength 5 and Strength 4 stuff. But I'm committed to it because of the narrative. None of the other options really suit them, even though they are definitely better from a winning standpoint. They don't fit the narrative of the chapter, so I'm not using them. I'm committing to that. But anyway, yeah, the Necrons were really good. They were kind of scary, actually, how good they were, because I built a list that was basically just some warriors, some immortals, some Lich Guard, and a Lord. Not even an Overlord, just a regular Lord. And I didn't expect that. I didn't expect them to be, you know, hoovering away Marines, like leaf blowing, that's what I was looking for, the phrase I was looking for, leaf blowing Marines off the table in quite the way they did. It was a bit crazy. If I'd actually bothered to bring stuff like destroyers and all the really good things, it probably would have been even worse for the Marines. So that was a bit of a surprise, shall we say. Yeah. I need to go look through have another look through the Marine book. There's probably stuff in there that I'm missing. There's things I could do better with it, but yeah, got their asses kicked. Anyway, I'm going to go back to tidying. Alright, well, tidying's done. It's looking a bit better, hopefully, overall. Behold, this isn't a huge pile of stuff anymore. You can actually move around this side of the table, which means guests can actually use this side of the table without fear of knocking tons of stuff over. So this took a little while, but it wasn't too bad in the end. Moved this old painting table of mine in here. I kind of feel like throwing some sort of tablecloth over it because it does look a bit icky with all the paint stains, but it'll do for now. Stuck some of the scenery under it actually as well while I was at it. Some of the books in the corner that I frequently use at the moment, along with cards, dice. Under the table is still a little bit of a poorly organised disaster, but it's good enough for me. Out of sight, out of mind, eh? But yes, I've moved an awful lot of stuff into the other room now, so hurrah! It's actually a bit more pleasant to be in here now, because I can actually move around without knocking stuff over every 5 seconds. It's rather good, actually. It's rather good. Even found a few bits I was looking for while I was in the process of doing it all, so excellent. Right, well, that was long overdue, but it's done now. Still could do with some shelves. But good luck buying any shelves at the moment anyway. Oh god, the lights. Oh. Actually, that's a good point. I managed to find one of the diffuse cupboards for one of the lights while I was searching around for stuff, but I only found one of them, so one of them isn't covered, the other one is. Kind of, it's not perfect, but it'll do, I suppose. Anyway, there's not much else to say now, other than, hey, I've tidied the room. Great. Oh my days, I just filmed an entire segment of this video, and then when I went to save the video, the app just told me, error, gobbledygook, failed to save video. So now I'm going to do it all over again, and I'm probably going to rush through it this time. Anyway, short version, I guess. Man, this is annoying. I'm at the hobby desk, as you can see. There are Necrons all over it, as you can see. Heavy destroyers, very cool. Very, very awesome models. The guns, they slot in and out, they don't glue in, so I have alternate loadouts, which is lovely. Really fantastic models. They look super, super cool, except for the way they attach to the base by that wobbly little tiny bit of plastic there. Not such a huge fan of that, because, well, it breaks really easily, as it did with this guy. So I had to sort of glue him onto these rocks, so he's sort of perched on there like he's hit a speed bump, and it's not ideal, but it'll have to do. Yeah, oh well. I haven't based any of this yet. Going to do that all in one go later on, batch basing. Hopefully quicker that way. Don't really like basing, it's a bit boring. Hexmark Destroyer. These guys are death marks that have gone a bit mad and got the destroyer virus. So he's now turned into a 3-legged monstrosity that has 6 pistols, which is kind of silly and awesome. Lich Guard. Need to get these guys done because these guys will be taking to the battlefield every time the Overlord does. I'm pretty sure I already showed you those in a previous part of the video, so I won't dwell on them. Warriors. Got these second hand. As you can see, one of them is already partially painted. I'll be going over that. But these are warriors with the alternate weapon loadout that I can't remember the name of. I got a couple more sprues of warriors as well on top of these. And what I'm thinking I'm going to use them for is converting some flayed ones, which are the creepy close combat Necrons that have been struck with the destroyer virus. So basically all I need to do is build Necron warriors like this, but cut the arms off and replace them with claws or something. Which would be very nice, because these Necron warriors, they have that kind of run-down, damaged, broken aesthetic going on already, which is what you typically expect from flayed ones. So yeah, and particularly since the existing flayed ones kit is a dreadful resin fine cast one, seems like a good idea to me. Also got a Scorpec Lord, big destroyer lord. My version, well, I can tell you, I've got 2 of these. I ended up with a spare one as a result of buying some stuff from eBay. This is what he ordinarily looks like, the Scorpec Lord. This is what my version looks like. Slightly converted. He's got a different head, and he's got an extra arm, because I wanted him to have 2 arms on either side, because it bothered me that he only had 1 arm on this side. It looked very asymmetrical and annoying. So this guy has 4 arms. The 4th arm doesn't do anything gameplay-wise, it's just there for looks. And I quite like him. He's got a kind of General Grievous kind of vibe, and I really dig that, so yeah. Big choppy lot. He's very big, actually, this model. He's about the size of a Demon Prince, so he's huge. And I like him. So, there you go. I've got a Plasmancer. He's a Cryptek who specialises in blowing people up with plasma. Enough said, really. Looks very nice. Very, very cool model. Big fan. I like the whole thing with he's a floating spinal cord with a torso on the top. That's pretty cool. I have his assistants, the Murder Buckets. I don't remember what their actual names are. Crypto Thralls or something, but I like to call them Murder Buckets because that's what they are. They're buckets that murder things. Look at them. But yeah, they're very cool. But they'll follow the Cryptek around on the battlefield. Got a Plasma Sight, which is a little cute little thing which floats around with the destroyers, and he can basically inject them with something, I think, and make them go crazy, which is kind of fun. So I got one of these painted up. I have a Royal Warden, which is a character who, as far as I can tell, is basically just a big immortal with a big immortal gun, like immortals have. But he's pretty cool. He has some nice little abilities and stuff. Very nice. I have these guys. A friend of mine, he knows who he is, pointed me at these rather on eBay. He found them on eBay,
And he pointed me at them, and I got them. And these are Space Crusade Chaos Androids, I believe. Back when Necrons were not even called Necrons, they were called Chaos Androids, these guys. And they're basically the original Necrons, even older than the other ones I showed you previously. And yeah, I got 3 of them, and I've painted them up. And I'll slot them into my warrior squads from time to time, and you can have fun spotting them in the battle reports, I guess. I think they're really great, especially considering these things must be about 40 years old by now, or something like that. They're really, really nice looking sculpts, actually, and it is really kind of cool and interesting how little the Necron warrior design has actually changed over the years. You look at him, and then you look at this guy. It's basically the same thing. It's a metal skeleton with a gun with a spiky bit on the end. It's essentially the same thing. And these particular sculpts just, I don't know, they seem to have aged quite gracefully as well. A lot of other miniatures from that era look a bit, well, they haven't aged quite as well as these guys have, let me put it that way. These guys look really cool. Got lots of little detail bits on them. Very nice. So yeah, cool stuff. Necrons. I got other bits. I got some of the snaky boys, the Ophidian destroyers, who are like a modern take on the wraiths of old. Really like these guys. Concerned by how wobbly they are, but I like them. And I've also got a Necron monolith to build, one of the new monoliths. Looking forward to that. The new monolith kit looks really, really, really good. I've got it half built at the moment. It's in a sub-assembly, so I can paint it a bit easier. But yeah, that'll be the crowning centerpiece of this army when it's done. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at the moment. Got a few other bits in the post on the way. But aside from that, trying to blitz through this, get them done, and then move on to the Space Marines, which will be the next project. Getting the Revenants sorted out, finally, properly. Yes. Right, I'm running low on battery and on memory space at the moment, so I was going to sit around and answer some questions from the last time, but I really don't have time at the moment. So, bother. Depending on how long this is in total, with all the clips, this might be the end of the video. So if it is, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed my further Necron progress, and I'll see you next time. But if it's not the end of the video, then I guess I'll see you in a minute. Either way, cheers.